Hello and welcome. So this is the first of hopefully many podcasts that me and Dylan are going to be doing. So the podcast is called We Go Beyond because me and Dylan are part of a company which I own and Dylan's a senior coach for me, called Transcend Physique. And our ethos is that we go beyond with coaching and we help a wide variety of different individuals, whether that's be getting in good health, losing body fat, building muscle, sport-specific training, etc. And we go beyond for every single client that we have. So we thought that it'd be good to start a podcast. And in this podcast, we're going to, because it's the first episode, we're just going to ask each other, I think we've got 8 questions each, aren't we, Dill?
8 questions.
We're going to ask each other 8 questions so you can get to know a bit more about us. And then Dylan's now going to explain about what the podcast is going to entail.
Yeah. So with the podcast, like the first episode, like Nathan said, it's just going to be me and him talking through the questions that we've got for each other. But in the future, we'll be wanting to get guests on, mainly just people who are heavily involved in health and fitness, whether that be professional coaches, professional athletes, influencers, anyone along those lines who's looking to improve themselves both physically and mentally. So yeah.
Yeah, so like just adding on to that, it's not just going to be about like physique or bodybuilding. It's going to be about professional sports, health
100%.
and fitness, CrossFit, High Rocks. We're going to try and get as many different people on this podcast as possible so we can give everybody an insight into what health and fitness looks like for each specific individual, no matter who you are.
For those who want to go beyond.
Yeah, yeah. Cheesy that, lad.
Yeah.
Cool. So, first of all, do you want me to start, Dylan, with my questions for you?
You fire them at me if you want, mate.
The way we've structured these questions is we've created 4 questions that we're just random questions that we think could be cool to ask each other, that maybe we don't know about each other as well.
Yeah.
And we've structured 4 others that are the same questions for each other. So this is just so you can kind of get to know each of us that little bit more, and to see whether you can relate to any of our backstory and stuff like that. So, Dylan, question 1. So, how did you get into fitness?
Decent question. So, fitness, to start for me was always football. Like growing up, family was heavily involved in football. Friends were involved in football. We used to play Saturday, Sunday, and then like getting up to the age of like 12, 13, 14, it was train Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, sometimes even Friday. We used to do futsal on a Friday and then play Saturday, Sunday. So football all the way through my life. And then towards like end of high school, start of college, I just got more involved with the gym. Just sort of like, I like the strength and conditioning sessions, like within the footballing sessions, a lot more than what I thought I would. And then, just sort of, for me, fitness was football orientated. Then it got more involved into lifting through the football. And now, that's just like I'm personal training. I train like with yourself to want to sort of eventually compete as a natural bodybuilder, something along those lines. Maybe next year, we'll see. But for fitness, it started off with football and now it's just taking its own sort of journey.
What, just like adding on to that question, when did you stop playing football and was that hard?
So I stopped playing football when I was around 17, I think. I think it was 17 or 16. I got a hip fracture. So in lockdown, when everyone was doing the 5K run challenge, our team had like who could get the fastest time. So I was trying to beat everyone. I was like, I'm going to get faster than first team players. I'm going to get 5K under 20 minutes. I think I actually seen Ross Barkley put on that he did 16-minute 5K. In some reason, I thought I could eventually get there. And I got it under 20 minutes, but then I woke up the next day and hip, couldn't stand up, hip was gone. And then from there, realising that like football's not the be all and end all, I was like, what's the other things that I can do? I'll go to the gym. So like that was a transition from football, like then the injury, then going into the gym. So I probably stopped playing when I was like 16, 17.
Was that hard mentally when you stopped playing football? Because obviously, like, when you've done something for so long and it's maybe kind of all you know, so to speak,
Yeah.
it can obviously affect people. Did it in any way, or was you like glad to get rid of it?
Do you know
or-
what? Like you just said at the end, then looking back now, 100% glad, because like I spoke about it. I think I spoke about it before. Like the all or nothing mentality is really, really good, but like for me, like it was, I'm just going to play football for the rest of my life. But then after the hip injury, it was like, wow, there's so much more going on in
Yeah.
life. Like
Yeah.
it was like football every single day. Like it was too much. Like it didn't ever get a chance to take a step back. And that was like 16 years of like your life, just like not gone, obviously.
Yeah.
But it was good to realise there's a lot more for you to be doing.
Yeah. So again, another question added on. What's probably the biggest thing you learned from playing football?
Specific to football, it's don't beat yourself up because like you're playing 11 other lads, well 10 other lads. Like for those footballers you might be watching, like yeah, like you are playing with another 10 other lads. So if you have an amazing game and the rest of the team doesn't, like it's not on you. So don't go home thinking, oh, like I played poorly today or played shit or whatever. Like it's not just on your back. And then like from more a personal standpoint, like I think it's great for like a community side of thing. Like
Yeah.
same with any team sport.
Yeah.
I know you play in rugby. I'm sure it's similar. Like
Yeah.
it is good to just have that sort of like banter or whatever.
Of course, mate. Of course. Definitely agree there.
Yeah.
Definitely. So next question. How did your upbringing influence where you are today, in your opinion?
Well, parents split up, and I do think that had a massive impact on like the way I've developed as a person. I do feel like people who've had parents divorce sort of not grow up quicker or mature quicker. I'm not saying that necessarily. Like people who have parents who are still together do mature quite quickly, but I do feel like sometimes having parents split up has sort of made me want to like work for myself more, if you get what I mean, like sort of push more, like improving myself more and like taking more control over my own life, just out of like, I don't know, like if you're living with your mum and you're living with your dad, sometimes if they're busy, you've not got that other parent in the house, so to speak. You just want to take more responsibility.
Yeah. I feel like with what you just said there, though, mate, like that's probably just who you are, though, as well. Do you know what I mean? Like, because some people, like when parents do split up, they turn to other things.
Yeah.
So like you kind of turning into kind of better yourself and kind of, what's the right way of putting it? You can tell I'm on prep here. So you get what I'm trying to say, though.
Yeah.
It's one of them where it's probably instilled in you.
Yeah, it's a decision at the end of the day,
Of course,
isn't it?
mate.
Yeah.
That's it. Next question, sorry. So I think you've already touched on this, but obviously you can go into a bit more
Yeah,
detail.
go
So
for it.
what's been your biggest struggle that's shaped you into who you are?
Well, yeah, it'll 100% be my hip. Like I said, it was just the most crazy thing. If I go into it in more detail, like it was locked down, like I say. Woke up the next morning after a run, couldn't walk. Went to the doctors, and luckily, through family insurance, I could go private. It was the only way we could get in, and we got the scan done. And me and my mum were sat there, I think, for 4, 5, maybe 6 hours. Like the guy basically said, like we need to do another X-ray. I think they did like 3, 4 X-rays, and he said that there was a tumour that led from like my femur. For those who don't know what the femur is, the thigh bone, all the way up into my pelvis. And if you look on the X-ray, you can't actually see the right side of my pelvis. Like it's just not even there. Like like on an X-ray, it'd be like the white bone.
Yeah.
It was just like black. So it was like, you've got a tumour. So like my head was like, what the hell's going on? Like it could be anything. Referred to a doctor in Birmingham. We went down a month later. So like a month of just pure anxiety and worry. And then the guy was like, oh, it's a condition called fibrous dysplasia. Your hip will just take like a lot longer to heal than most other people. He said that it wasn't anything like, but not, I don't want to say cancerous, like it was a benign tumour basically. So like that's the main thing that I was worried about. So for me, that was like, it was just massive realisation, like I said about the football, where it was like, that's all I used to think about. Like there's so much more to, like you can be like doing with your life, because something like that could just happen.
Yeah.
Like obviously it wasn't bad. It wasn't what it like. It could have been anything, but it was just a big like realisation, to be fair.
So obviously that was your biggest struggle. How do you think it's kind of matured you in a way?
So it's made me more like self-aware and more grateful for just like small things.
Yeah.
Because like I mentioned before, because like you was non-stop with training when I used to play footy, like I still am now. I feel like now, compared to my older self, well, my younger self, I can just sort of like take a step back and actually enjoy the things that I'm doing. Like actually enjoy going training, enjoy like hitting short-term goals, even enjoy when things go wrong. Not enjoy them necessarily, but like understand that when things go wrong, they go wrong for a reason. Whereas like back in the day, if something went wrong, like that was it. Everything was, the whole week was wrote off. Like I was just in a mood. So yeah, just being more grateful.
Cool.
100%.
Cool. So next one, what does health and fitness mean to you?
Yeah, so I've had a big think about this recently. I was actually speaking to my girlfriend about this at health and fitness, because you don't want to just numb it down to something dead simple. But for me personally, I think health and fitness is keeping both you, either or. So keeping your mind or your body active. So you can keep your mental health, you can improve your mental health by like playing chess, doing something along those lines. For your physical health, you can go to the gym, you can play football, but as long as you're keeping your mind or body active, I feel like that for me is health and fitness. That's sort of what I describe it anyway.
I definitely agree. I mean, like, my take on it is a balance of everything that makes you happy.
Yeah.
So, like, for example, like on Instagram and stuff these days, you see like I'm a big one for trying to promote organic and grass-fed stuff.
As you should.
And yeah, as you should. But again, that's not always possible for everyone.
Yeah.
And by spending that amount of money might make them unhappy.
Yeah.
So then it's kind of like the health and fitness kind of umbrella should be specific to you.
Yeah.
Do you get what I'm trying to say though?
100%.
So it's like train whatever amount of training sessions makes you happy and whatever training modality makes you happy.
Yeah.
Eat whatever food to a certain degree that you want that makes you happy and makes you mentally stable and be able to think well.
Yeah.
Do the amount of steps that works for you, and do you get what I'm trying to say? It's kind of like a balance of everything on the whole that makes you happy for all the time.
Yeah. Yeah, 100%. Because like you say, if it's not working for that individual, and I think that's similar to what I was trying to say with like keeping the mind or body active.
Course.
Like,
1,000,000%.
but then again, someone like you said, if they want to play rugby, it doesn't mean like, oh, you have to lift weights to be healthy and fit. No, you go and play rugby. That's your health and fitness.
Exactly.
Yeah, 100%.
Cool. So next question. What's your favourite hobby to do outside of work?
and
the gym? It can't be the gym, lad. It can't be the gym.
Favourite hobby, eat food.
Mate, I think mine would be the same, you know.
No, to be honest,
what mine would be.
And I'm going to sound like an old man reading. And I swear to God, I love it. I actually love reading. Like, I bought a book when I went away to Cornwall last week, and The Chimp Paradox, and I literally nearly finished it.
Yeah.
I'll probably nail another 2 books when I go on holiday.
What's actually, like, for listeners, what's your top 2 books that you'd recommend?
Top 2 books I'd recommend. Mark Manson, The Subtle Art of Not Giving a Fuck.
Oh, yeah, I've read that.
That is unbelievable book. That is, I think that might be my number 1. And then my second one would probably be The Secret by Rhonda.
Oh, yeah.
Is it Bryn? Rhonda
Something like that.
Byrne or Bryn. But the only thing with that is you sort of have to understand everything else before you read it. Because I feel like some people can read that and just believe that like you can say anything and it
Here's
happens.
a blinder for you. Man's Search for Meaning.
Oh, yeah. I feel like I've seen that.
I think it's Viktor Franklin.
Yeah.
I think. That's a blinder.
Yeah,
All listeners out there as well. Them are 3 good books.
And if you've got any books,
Yeah,
DM
them
me
are
because
3.
I love reading, man.
Cool.
Yeah.
What's your one bit of advice for listeners
Yeah.
that they can apply today or tomorrow to their training in order to improve it? It can be one or more bits of advice. It doesn't have to be one specifically, but what would you say your like top 1 to 3 bits of advice?
Slow down. No, wait. I was going to say training as in like lifting.
Lifting.
Say,
yeah. So lifting. Yeah, we'll go with weightlifting.
Yeah. Slow down your reps straight away. That's probably.
So we'll be a bit more specific here. We'll go down to building muscle or retaining muscle.
Yeah. Slow down your reps is my biggest tip I can give anyone in the gym. Like, you see it often, like whether you go to the gym yourself or you work there, like, I don't know, I feel that's a great piece of advice for anyone because like no matter what you're doing, if you just slow it down, you'll engage the muscle that you want to engage more. Another one would probably be Get off your phone. Get off your phone in between sets.
Yeah.
That's my top tip.
Unless you're tracking your training through an app.
Yeah.
But even so,
100%.
that's a bit trickier.
Yeah. So get off your phone and slow down your reps.
Them your top two?
Top two tips,
Cool.
mate.
Cool. What's your ideal client? Who do you like coaching?
Who do I like coaching? I like coaching people who are. Well, it's.
I know it's a bit of an umbrella question that I do get that.
So I was going to say, people who always want to improve themselves, but anyone who's coming to coach wants to improve themselves.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean?
Well, sometimes they think they do.
Yeah. But yeah, true. Yeah, true. People who deal with setbacks properly, not properly, but like well. Like, and I know that's a tough thing because then it's like, I love dealing with clients who don't deal with setbacks as well because I like helping them. But people who still track and still like give it their all when things go wrong.
Yeah.
Because it's so great because then you can like give them so much information. Like, this is where you went wrong. This is how we'll improve.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? They're getting so much more value for what you're giving them. It's not just like, oh, I've gone wrong this week, I'm fucking it off, I'm not bothering, which I probably did at the start. But
You've been a work in progress, lad.
Yeah.
But that's we all are.
Yeah,
At the end of the
100%.
day, like, we're all not perfect.
Yeah.
Like, people, like, I feel like I've been a bit guilty for this recently where a lot of people think that I do everything by the book.
Yeah.
And don't get me wrong, I do when I'm prepping, like
Yeah.
now. He says we went to
Tomorrowland, I was going to say.
But apart from that, I do.
Yeah.
But like when we're in a different phase of like gaining muscle, I always say this, we're a bit more like a quote unquote normal person.
Yeah.
Obviously, like the lifestyle's still the same of prepping food if need to and eating 5-6 meals a day. However, we still go out and socialise at weekends and enjoy ourselves like you did last night.
Yeah.
Because you're in a gaining phase.
Yeah.
And it's like, it's I don't want everybody to think that me and Dylan are just perfect because we're not.
No.
And we still deal with setbacks and we still deal with our own insecurities
100%.
and our own different kind of maybe past trauma that we kind of elicit on each other and stuff like that. So, nobody's perfect. No one.
No.
And it's cool if you make mistakes. That's kind of what I wanted to say. So, the last question is the question that we're going to ask at the end.
Right. So.
Yeah. So you can ask me yours now.
Right.
And then we'll kind
Get to that
of
later.
we'll both do the question at the end.
Right. Sweet.
Just to let listeners know, the question at the end is the question that we're going to ask every guest who's on the podcast. The same question.
Yeah. Sick. Right then. You ready, mate?
Yeah. Let's go.
Question.
Fire 'em at me.
Let's wrestle. Question number 1. How did you get into fitness?
Me and my older brother have always been, we was always out playing on the streets, always. Like, we'd come home from school, we'd get changed straight away, straight out.
Yeah.
Yeah, so we was always like on the street with our street friends, playing football, playing rugby, playing cricket, playing skilly.
Yeah.
You remember?
Yeah, I
skilly?
remember skilly.
Skilly teams.
Yeah.
So I was playing all stuff like that all the time, like me and our Connell. And Connell, my next door neighbour, shout out to Liam Thompson, he played rugby and he was a really good rugby player, Liam. And our Connell, he was friends with us and we used to play it with us. And our Connell went rugby training one time for Hindley. And then I went like the week after. And I think I was 7, our Connell was 8. And then we played rugby from being then until I quit when I was 24. So I'd say that's kind of how I got into fitness. Maybe just playing on the streets.
Yeah.
And then that developed into meeting friends on the streets who played like rugby
Yeah.
or different sports. And then I started playing rugby. And that's how I kind of got into everything.
An extra question. Why did you end up stopping playing rugby?
This is a big one, this.
Yeah.
So I stopped playing because I was doing the same thing all the time and I got fed up with it.
Yeah.
So I absolutely loved it when I played rugby. And don't get me wrong, I loved the people who I was with. I loved all the mates I made, all the people I met. I adored all of them. They're all still friends of mine now. But because kind of the rugby league culture is basically, for amateur especially, is that you go out a lot at weekend.
Yeah.
And you drink alcohol. You're on a buzz because you was in a national league travelling. And I kind of got fed up of going out on a Saturday, being rough and doing nothing on a Sunday. And my goal was to always build muscle.
Yeah.
So it was kind of like, this was the rugby and the weekends were stopping me from doing something I've wanted to do since I was 6.
Yeah.
Build muscle. I wanted to be bigger.
Yeah.
So it was kind of like that needed to give. And I'd give everything to that. So I just needed to change the direction.
Yeah.
And that was hard. But it was right at the time.
Yeah, 100%.
It was right at the time. And I would never change doing it.
Yeah.
I'd probably even quit a bit earlier if I'm honest.
Yeah.
But you can't change it.
No, you can't. You
Yeah.
learn from the mistakes.
Exactly, mate. That's
Exactly.
it.
Exactly.
That's it.
No, I love that. Question number 2. How did your upbringing influence where you are today? So same question, but obviously for yourself
Yeah.
this time.
So my upbringing. So my mum and dad were very supportive of all of us. Where they used to take us to rugby and all that. They'd do anything for us on that front of shipping us about and taking us training, doing whatever. So that massively helped because obviously if you can't get anywhere, me and O'Connell end up running. We probably would have ran anyway. Sometimes O'Connell used to make me run gym and everything. He was mad at him. But obviously them helping us along and my mum being a big part of my life still today, she kind of taught me to never stop and kind of always give everything your all.
Yeah.
So my mum's just the type of person where she won't mind me saying this, she's not really sporty. She trains and stuff, but she was never sporty.
Yeah.
But she always had that drive to do her best at whatever she did.
Yeah.
And I think that me and O'Connell and Ronan, I have obviously 2 brothers, we've all picked that up.
Yeah.
Definitely. And I think that's the main thing that sticks in my mind that's probably got me to where I am today, definitely.
Yeah, 100%. And to be fair, I feel like I can relate to that a little bit as well. Like when you see your parents, like with my mum as well, constantly giving everything they can and wanting everyone to giving everyone the most that they can possibly give, it makes you want to do that as well. It makes you want to push yourself 100%.
Yeah, well, obviously, you've got a part of your mum and your dad in you, just because you're the
parents,
2 people that you spend the most time around when you're at your most developing years of your life. So it's good when you've got a parent or parents who show you that.
Yeah.
It's not about saying it. I think it's about showing it as well.
Yeah.
And when they show you that and you see somebody working hard and how much they've done for you and maybe it's people around you or other people, I think it rubs off on you.
Yeah, it makes you want to work.
Just makes you want to do it. Yeah.
Right, lad. Question number 3. What's been your biggest struggle that shaped you into who you are today?
There's probably a couple. I'm not going to go into one of them. I may go into one of them later in a different podcast, but I think it's just a bit too early. But one of them was definitely quitting rugby, but also before that, I went playing rugby in Australia on my own at 19. And before I went there, I was going out doing all sorts at weekend, being a bit of a crank, to put it bluntly. And I had a dead end job over here. And I remember saying to my mum, I'm fed up. I need to just go and do something. I'm going to go to Australia. And she obviously was dead supportive. Yeah, definitely go. My dad helped me pay for my flight and stuff like that. And that was a big changing point for me. I remember my mum saying to me when I come back, she was like, "You're a completely different person to when you left." And I think it was the fact of, mate, that I'd had to fend for myself. I lived with a family over there, the physio, who was for the club. I lived with them and it was amazing. Going out to them, the Bainbridges. Hopefully you'll watch this.
Listening, yeah.
Hopefully you listened. Anyway, so they was amazing. I still speak to them today. It's coming up to 10 years on. Fucking hell. But that was the question, what was the biggest struggle? Yeah, it was a struggle because I was in a completely different environment with people who I don't know at 19.
Yeah.
Yeah, so imagine, you're obviously a lot more mature than I was at 19.
Come on.
No. Yeah, but like then I was like, I was scared.
Yeah.
I was still insecure.
Yeah.
Still dealing with my past,
Yeah.
which I had to kind of plug to the back of my mind.
Yeah.
And I had to change a little bit of who I was. And over there, I got my PT qualification because I was getting paid more money
Yeah.
by rugby and by my job. And I just developed a mindset where, like I said to you, what my mum instilled in me, I think that sparked it.
Yeah.
Just that change of an environment and being so far out my comfort zone
Yeah.
all the time, where I had to walk to the supermarket and buy my own food to a certain degree, and
Yeah.
and just try, like, growing up
Yeah.
without my mum there to go, Mum, like,
Yeah.
what do I do? Or
Yeah.
Dad, what do I do? It was just like, no, you just crack on because your mum's asleep and she's not going to answer the phone now.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? So I think that's probably the biggest thing. One of the biggest things that was a struggle, but I'm so fucking glad I did it.
Yeah, I was gonna say, I know it was a struggle, but I bet it was so good.
I won't be where I am now
Yeah.
if I didn't do that.
Yeah, 100%.
It changed the course of my life in like to a certain degree.
Yeah, 100%. It makes you more self-responsible.
Yeah.
Makes you want to like basically like you described, like just do things for yourself, take responsibility for just pretty much
Yeah.
everything.
Exactly, mate. That's what like we've been working on with you,
Yes.
innit? Like
Yeah,
literally just
100%.
taking responsibility and just no matter whether life throws shit at you,
Yeah.
which it's going to, just wipe the shit off you and get on with
Yeah.
it.
Yeah.
But to a certain degree, not that you're trying to block your emotions, but think of a way out of the situation rather than digging the hole even
Yeah.
bigger.
I think as well though, I think when you tell people that sometimes, like, what's the best way to deal with something, or what's the best way to get someone, it's like take responsibility. Some people like don't want to hear that. They don't want to hear that. It's
That's probably like it's their own insecurity
gotta be.
coming out.
Yeah.
But again, we're not like mental health
No.
coaches or anything like
Definitely
that here. Like this is not what this is about. This is just our opinion
Yeah.
on different subjects as well. Just so covering ourselves here.
Yeah.
Yeah. So go on. Next question.
Right,
Dylan.
lad. So that is number 3. So obviously the last question I'll be asking you at the end as
Yeah.
well.
Yeah. Sound.
So, oh wait, sorry, no, there is one more. What does health and fitness mean to you?
Oh,
Well,
so
we have
I
sort of
kind
covered
of
that.
answered
Yeah,
that,
yeah.
didn't I?
Yeah.
Before we can take that, can't we?
Yeah, we'll take that.
Yeah, we'll take that.
Right, we'll move on to the better ones. Right, what is the main reason you want to compete as a bodybuilder, or what was the main reason that made you want to compete as a bodybuilder?
So I did a photo shoot prep. So I've bodybuilding style training like virtually all my life.
Yeah.
Like, even when I was playing rugby, I trained like a bodybuilder. You shouldn't do that, by the way, but I was just didn't know. Yeah. Like if I knew now, I'd train completely different when I was playing rugby, but I just didn't know. So I've trained like a bodybuilder all my life, and I've always wanted to build muscle, as I said before. I was a skinny kid. So when I did a photo shoot prep with my current coach now, Joe Jeffrey, I'd never dieted before then.
Yeah.
So I'd never ever
For
dieted.
those who don't know what a photo shoot prep, I think people will anyway, won't they?
They probably will, but
Yeah,
a photo shoot
they
prep basically you kind of you diet and
Until-
you have a photo shoot at the end.
So you get
like-
as lean as you possibly can.
yeah. In order to get as lean as you can do, so a professional photographer can take some photos of you. So I did a photo shoot prep at first, and that kind of made me realise how I felt so good doing that prep because I'd never dieted before and I'd always been pushing food and I had digestive issues, and that just kind of helped me get rid of them even more than I already had done myself. And then it came to my attention that Joe was like, you should compete.
Yeah.
So I was like, I enjoy it. I live and I breathe it. I want to build muscle. Bodybuilding's building muscle. So why not showcase it on stage?
Yeah.
And then I did my first competition last year and I did really well. And I fell in love.
You won. You did really
I did
well. You
really
won.
well.
Yeah.
And I fell in love with it. And
Yeah.
I just love everything about it. Like I love the rigidity to a certain degree, but I love the flexibility when you don't have to be rigid.
Yeah.
I love the lifestyle and the regimentation of how routine and habit formed you need to be.
Yeah.
That's just me all over.
Yeah.
And I love that. And
Yeah.
that's not for everyone, and that's okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, but yeah, I love it.
Yeah, sick. Well, another question, which again, I'm just added another one here,
Yeah,
lads,
that's
but bodybuilding shows coming up soon. Like you said, Nathan's in prep. So do you want to talk a bit more about that?
What, my shows?
Yeah, shows. Do you want to tell people? Or
So we're now on It's Sunday the 6th of August. So from today, I'm actually 4 weeks out today from my first show, which is PCA Manchester on the 3rd of September. I'm completing in Classic. Then I've got a show the week after that, Fitex Compact Classic, I think it is, which I think is in Leicester. I could be wrong. Again, I'm competing in Classic and in bodybuilding on that, so I've entered two categories. And then the week after that is the 16th of September, which is Two Bros. Again, I'm not sure on the location. I think it's Maidenhead, but I was reading last night that it could be Nottingham. I may be wrong there. And I'm competing in Classic. I'm probably bodybuilding in that. And then I've got the big pro qualifier in France that I'm not expecting to do well. I'm just doing it because I've always wanted to compete abroad since I competed. And I just want to take people who are close to me over there and experience like a show abroad and just have some fun, basically. Yeah. That is basically what it is.
Yeah, it's going to be sick.
Yeah.
Let's go.
Yeah.
Sick. So, next question. This is obviously not off the topic of bodybuilding now as well. What's the best piece of advice like you could give someone who's just starting out as a personal trainer or a coach in any sort of industry? Doesn't like a coach doesn't have to just be specifically personal trainer, it could be anything.
I would say just one bit of advice.
Just one. Well, if you want to elaborate, go for it. I would
say, first of all, you definitely need to get in front of as many people as possible from all different walks of life and coach anyone and everyone with all different problems.
Yeah.
The reason being is because then you learn to deal with Betty, who's 85. Maybe not 85, says 65. Yeah. At fair play, she's 85 and quit gym, to be fair, innit?
Go on.
So say you train Betty, who's 65 or 60 or 55, who's a bit older, and then you train Nick, who's 17.
Yeah.
And then you train a mum who's 40, who's got 3 kids and she's a single parent.
Yeah.
You start learning to deal with different people and talking to them differently and coaching them in different ways to solve their own individual problems. Because with coaching, it's not one size fits all, and it should never ever be. And it should never ever be for the same demographic as well or the same niche. It should always be person specific, based around their lifestyle. And I'd say the biggest bit of advice is getting as front as many people as possible at first. Do not niche down for your first 5-6 years.
Yeah.
And get in as many in front of different people and coach as many different people as you can.
Yeah. Like you say, like we're niching down. I think that's what loads of people try and do at the minute. Like find your niche. But like you said, if you don't coach anyone, you don't know what your niche is going to be. But if you coach everyone, then you have a choice of, right, that I'm better with that specific client or person, so I can niche down that sort of avenue.
And it's one of them, Dill, like what I learned from PTing is that I didn't know everything.
Yeah.
And that's okay. So I remember getting a couple clients. One of them still coaches with me now, and I couldn't find out what was up with him.
Yeah.
He couldn't lose body fat.
Yeah.
So that made me, because of the person that I am, go, right, I need to find out why this is.
Yeah.
So I can help him.
Yeah.
And that's when I started delving more into the health aspect of getting people internally healthy in order to help them.
Yeah.
So that is why doing something like that opens up other avenues for you as well.
Yeah.
And it opens up different avenues of your brain.
Yeah.
In order to learn more.
Yeah, yeah. You understand the different people.
Yeah,
it's like
of course.
Very, very big quality that people should have, but it's slept on these days. You just sit on your phone and don't talk to anyone.
Exactly, man.
It's actually crazy. Right. Question number 3 from myself. How do you personally deal with adversity?
I'm optimistic and I'm forward thinking all the time.
Yeah.
Like if something comes at me that quote unquote causes stress or causes like a bit of a roadblock in my life, I just think, how do we get past this? Not as quick as possible, but as most effective as possible.
Yeah, sick.
It's not like, it's just not taking a backward step and always just, even if you stay still, you've still not gone backwards.
Yeah.
And just then going, right, I stay still, but how do I move one step forward now?
Yeah. So another question here. So like with that staying still and moving forward, so having an optimistic mindset, would you also say that you've got it meditated in your brain that like if something goes wrong, like you're gonna learn from it?
Yeah, I mean,
Is that something that you've like self-taught yourself? Do you know what I mean?
this is another thing that my mum always taught me.
Yeah.
Another thing that my mum always taught me is no matter what happens, it can always be fixed.
Yeah. You've said that to me, and it's
I've
sick.
said that to
it's
you,
very, very
and
good.
it's so true.
It's so true. Yeah.
Because no matter what happens and what comes at me, I'll fix it.
Yeah.
Not because I know everything, because I'll find a way to.
Yeah.
And I'll not let it push me back. And
Yeah.
even if I do to a certain degree, I'll always find a way to fix it.
Yeah.
Because everything's always fixable.
Yeah.
And that's a quote by the legendary Tina Bevan that I always tell everyone because it's just fucking true.
Yeah. 100%.
So true.
Very true. Right. Your final question. What has been what's been your biggest fail that you've ever had in the gym when you've been training? If you've had one.
I've had a few fails, definitely. I mean, the one that sticks in my mind when I looked at this question was, so when I played rugby and I trained like a bodybuilder, sometimes I did 1 rep maxes. Don't do that. Just so you know, don't do that. Yeah, if you're a bodybuilder, don't 1 rep max. If you play rugby, don't 1 rep max. If you're a powerlifter, 1 rep max. To a certain degree. Anyway, so like, you know what it's like. You're a bit of an ego. You're like, how much can I squat? Because I used to squat all the time. And I remember getting 185 on bar. And I squatted 185, but I literally nearly folded in two, and there was no one in the gym.
Yeah.
Like, because at JSB that I used to work, shout going out to them, by the way, they're legends who own that, John and Sarah. Because it wasn't open in the day, I had a key, and we like me or John or Matt, when Matt used to work there, we used to go and train. But not all of us were in at one time. So, like, my biggest fail was probably that, nearly not getting up off a 185 and, like, snapping my back in two. And I remember, do you know, like, I literally right back up, and, like, I was like, I could have died then. Like, no joke, I could have, maybe not died, but I could have been seriously injured then.
Yeah.
I didn't try it again.
Yeah, I'm not surprised.
Didn't try it again, mate. What's yours?
Oh, fucking hell. When I worked at Total Fitness, I didn't take the towel into the sauna. I didn't take my towel on my break when I went to the sauna. No, I did a bench once, right? And I used to do the same. I used to just try and PR all the time. Like, it was soon after I fractured my hip. I was like, right, I'm just going to bench, get dead big, bench. And I was doing a drop set, so it was even more embarrassing, really. So I'd done like 100 kg for 1 rep, and like I'd never done it before on my own. I was buzzing. I was like, right, now I've done my 1 rep, I'll just carry on doing bench. So then I kept going down, so I went like 90 for as many reps, 80 as many reps, 75 as many reps, 70, like the ultimate drop set. I got to 70 kg on the bar, and I had the clips on, and it just dropped on my chest. I physically couldn't get it up.
Pinned you.
And it just rolled onto my neck. I know, it was awful. So I had to like kind of like
shimmy
up.
under it.
It was awful. It was disgusting.
Fuck.
And it was like 5 o'clock. No one even come over. Total Fitness week. No, I'm joking.
Yeah. What are you doing?
Yeah. So that was probably my biggest fail. Definitely.
Is that all my questions? Have we got
your
this last
question's
question?
done. We're on to the last one.
So this is the question that we're going to ask every guest who comes on the podcast. So what's the best piece of info or advice that you can give someone to apply today in order to help them go beyond?
So for me, I'd say set a goal. So, set a short-term goal and a long-term goal, or just get into the habit of setting goals overall, because your long-term goal is going to keep you accountable like when things go completely wrong, but your short-term goal is going to keep you accountable like every single day. So for me, I'll set, like we spoke about right at the start, I think, like I'll set like a goal of like maybe going out for a meal at the end of the week with my girlfriend or going to the cinema. So then I know I'll stay accountable in the week, because that's like a reward for myself. It's
and
like,
you'll enjoy that.
Yeah, you've done well this week. Go and enjoy yourself. People don't do that sometimes. Like they'll do something really good, or they'll do something well, or they'll achieve something, and then they're like, it's good to be straight on to the next thing, but you need to also like respect and take a step back and enjoy the things that you've done.
Of course, and not feel guilty.
Yeah, exactly.
Not feel guilty about it. It's like what you. I'd probably say bloody 95% of people who are listening to this are not bodybuilders like myself. Like you don't have to be so rigid.
Yeah.
You can enjoy yourself and still progress.
Yeah.
Prove this time and time again through everything that we post on social media with social proof and different transformations. Not everybody needs to be so rigid in order to lose body fat or even build muscle. So, yeah.
Yeah, so set goals. That's my piece of advice for anyone who wants to go beyond today. Now for you, mate, What's the best piece of advice you could give someone to go beyond?
I'd probably say, I've like mentioned it, I'd say just have a mindset, try and change your perception about how you handle situations in terms of remember about that anything that comes at you is always fixable.
Yeah.
And I'd probably say that's been the biggest when I heard that and when I thought, you know what, it's right that it changed the way that I perceived situations.
Yeah.
And then if you've got more of a positive mindset when something negative comes, you're gonna handle it better.
Yeah, 100%.
You're gonna handle it in a more logical way as opposed to an emotionally driven reaction to it.
Yeah.
And I'd probably say just working on your mindset, trying to develop that mindset of looking at situations as fixable as opposed to, oh my God, this
problem.
is
Yeah.
oh my God, this is going to destroy my life.
Do you know what, dead quick on that as well? Like, I watched a podcast recently. I can't remember who it was, but he was saying, if you could think of the worst thing that's happened in your life, and we've spoke about on these podcasts, like the worst things or adversity that we've faced in our lives that shaped us the person that we are. If you think back to that and you think about where you are now, like you should, you know what I mean?
You have to go through them things in order to get you to where you are.
Yeah, so if you think when you're in a bad situation, you think, oh, I got through the last one.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean?
Exactly.
That's another way you can sort of deal with bad situations.
That's another thing of being uncomfortable.
Yeah.
Like I said about my struggle where I was uncomfortable in Australia for 10 months on my own.
Yeah.
That shaped me.
Yeah, 100%.
And because I was uncomfortable all the time, or a lot of the time.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
Yeah, so everything is fixable. I like it, lad.
Yeah. That's the new motto. So that wraps up today.
Yeah.
Obviously, follow us both on social media. So I'm Nathan_Transcend.
Dylan_Transcend.
And follow Transcend Physique. It has 2 S's. Whoever's got the original Transcend Physique, please just change your name so I can have it.
Yeah.
So this is going to be going on YouTube, innit?
YouTube, Spotify, and
maybe Apple Music.
Maybe Apple Music if we can.
Or Apple Podcasts.
Apple Podcasts, whatever it is, yeah.
So
yeah, the full length, with us, our faces, and the video will be on YouTube. Audio will be on Apple Podcasts, Spotify Podcasts.
Yeah, cool. So follow We Go Beyond Podcast, subscribe, share, like. Please promote this as much as possible.
Yeah.
We're looking to get on a lot of wide variety of different guests who are professional athletes, influencers, sports coaches, professional coaches. We want as many people as possible. If you're interested in coming on, please drop me or Dylan a DM,
message,
and we'll be happy to talk. So thank you for listening, and I hope you all have a good day.
Yeah. See you later. Thank you.